The left loses their mind over Trump's supposed statement inside of the immigration discussion, blank hole statement about blank hole countries. Senator Cory Booker unloads on Kristen Nielsen, the Department of Homeland Security, and Trump's take on DACA, and also chain migration. A lot of other situations also taking place today on the Truth Hour, and we look forward to hearing from you today. All of this and more today on the Truth Hour.
Something really wrong is going on.
What kind of a show are you guys putting on?
I want the truth.
Good morning, Truth Hour audience. Welcome. Welcome you here this morning. Beautiful Thursday morning here in Pittsburgh. I think we're still in single digits, maybe the low teens. But the difference today being it is a bright, sunny, beautiful day out. Crisp, but the sun's out, and that just makes the difference. So I welcome each and every one of you. I appreciate you being on today to another jam-packed session of the Truth Hour. My name is Shane Jameson, and I come to you every Thursday morning, 11 a.m., Pittsburgh time, with the Truth Hour. Quick plug here. You can email me with any suggestions, concerns, or topics at truthourradio@gmail.com, truthourradio@gmail.com. Also, you can find us here naturally, Truth Hour Radio, on YouTube. So we appreciate you guys looking to grow this audience, so I appreciate you spreading the word to your friends and family and co-workers and let them know about the Truth Hour. Love to bring political insight, relevance here, also with our conservative values, and under the umbrella of my Christian faith, is what the Truth Hour is all about. So today is an amazingly jam-packed session. It just seems like every week I don't think I can ever get any fuller on the Truth Hour, but there has been no shortage of information come out in the last 7 days on a lot of pressing topics, politically speaking. We will also have a lineup here later on, comic segment. I've decided to incorporate that. Just, a couple of knee-slapping moments and things like that, just to lighten the mood. Because I agree, politics can be pretty hard to discuss without getting, just kind of wrapped up in the moment. So I like to keep it light occasionally. But with that said, guys, we'll go ahead and jump in. Some big topics front and center this past week, and I'm sure I'm going to leave some of the big topics out. There's just not enough time in 1 hour, to cover everything. So front and center was President Trump's supposed statement during the immigration reform meeting with everyone here a few days ago, where supposedly he was heard referring to a select number of foreign countries as, and I'll just refer to this throughout the show, as blank holes. You can fill in the blank. I want to keep it clean here on the Truth Hour, so we're not going to go there. Unlike the leftist mainstream media, of which I had some clips I was going to play, but I decided not to do that either, and they bleeped it all out. But there was a segment where CNN and all the mainstream media basically played, and they played that up. I mean, they had segment after segment after segment stating, blank hole this, blank hole that, Trump said this, Trump said that. We're not going to go there, but supposedly, from what I've been told, in that meeting was some pretty heated debate. Politicians are smooth and polished in front of the camera a lot of times, but behind closed doors, guys, it's politics. They're in there trying to hash out a deal on DACA, on immigration, on funding. The government's shutdown's looming. There's a lot of stuff pressing. There is a lot going on. And welcome to my son-in-law, Dakota. Good morning, sir, to you. Way out there in El Paso, Texas. Give a shout out there to El Paso. Appreciate you, sir, from being on. And so he goes into this meeting. Apparently Dick Durbin is one of the first ones to come out stating that Trump had said this term. There's a lot of, I wouldn't call them conspiracies, there was a lot of thought behind the scene as to why there's people on the right and the left inside that room that stated that Trump never said that they don't recall him ever saying those words. But let's just be real for a minute. And what the left has tried to do, they pivot. Now here we are again, they pivot. They want to turn this into race. And apparently calling, and he was referring to Haiti, I think in specific. He was referring to Haiti. If he did say this, the report was that, immigrants from that country, that not the immigrants, but that country in specific is a blank hole, right? Guys, have you ever been to Haiti? I haven't ever been, but I've seen lots of newscasts and documentaries about it, all the way dating back to that horrific and tragic earthquake, and we'll get into that. We want to talk about the hypocrisy of the left. Well, they instantly want to pivot. The Dems want to pivot and call this a racist statement. Let's just go there hypothetically and say that he said it, that he called the country of Haiti a blank hole country. How is that racist? There's garbage and trash in the streets. The people there don't have enough to get by. The government of Haiti has squandered a lot of the monies that they've been given and that has been donated to them. There's just been a lot of Haiti's been abused and used for years, and we'll get into that here in a minute. We don't have to look any further than yet again the Clinton Foundation. The Clinton Foundation. The Clinton initiative there under Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, back when if you'll go back in time and remember when Haiti was devastated by that earthquake, the Clintons didn't skip a beat. They looked at that as, and just like a lot of Democrats have said, Nancy Pelosi's famous for saying, never let a good tragedy go to waste. Well, believe you me, the Clinton Foundation and the Clintons did not let the Haitian devastation go to waste. They instantly kicked into gear, went down to Haiti, and instantly started putting together their donors, their buddies. They started trying to basically kick into gear the Clinton Foundation. The Clinton Foundation has been proven to be a pay-to-play. So in other words, you do this for me and I'll do this for you. And any donors that kicked in millions of dollars to the Clinton Foundation got lucrative contracts. They were given the first the green light to first be, a go in Haiti for any kind of infrastructure rebuild or any kind. There's a cell phone contract with a gentleman that was front and center in this debacle. So all of their buddies tied to the Clinton Foundation got they got first dibs, if you will, on being there, being able to be first, the first foot in the door. So, we're already at this segment, so we'll go ahead and play that. We'll go ahead and play that video. This one right here, we'll go ahead and play that. And this is Tom Fitton with Judicial Watch. This guy's phenomenal. He is synonymous with Freedom of Information Act suits against the government because the government won't release public information to the public, which is an absolute atrocity. He goes to fight for us every day. Here he is on Fox and Friends explaining the details of exactly how this broke down in the hypocrisy. They want to say that Trump is a racist and that he doesn't have Haiti's best interest. But when you watch this, and if you know anything about how the Clintons literally ripped off and robbed and decimated Haiti and made millions of dollars on it, you'll be shocked as well. Here we go.
What they did or did not do in Haiti.
Well, Chelsea Clinton's wedding was back in 2010, which was the year of the earthquake. And the allegation was that foundation resources were used for Clinton's wedding, Chelsea Clinton's wedding, which took place that year. And this allegation was made by Doug Band, who was one of Clinton's associates, was actually one of the top officials at the Clinton Foundation, who was yelling at Chelsea for even raising questions about doing an investigation about how foundation resources were being used. And he said, well, what about your resources being used for your wedding?
Tom,
and on top of that, the foundation by Bill Clinton himself, the documents Judicial Watch has uncovered showed that immediately after the earthquake, the Clinton Foundation called up the State Department. And it looks like subsequently, Hillary Clinton's State Department outsourced our Haiti policy to the foundation, especially in terms of aid. And the problem with the Clinton Foundation is it was an influence peddling operation. So it's no surprise that Haiti got shafted as a result of Bill Clinton's machinations and using the foundation, not necessarily to benefit recipients of funds, but to help the donors to his foundation and those giving him speaking fees. For instance, one of the companies that gave him a speaking fee, the Clinton Foundation advocated on their behalf in Haiti for some cell phone contract. And this problem goes back to the Clinton administration it began, where you had Clinton cronies getting a corrupt telephone contract from the Haitian government almost immediately from the Clinton, once Clinton again invaded Haiti and put in his friends back in power. You need a special counsel alone to investigate the Clinton machine's connections to Haiti.
So what do you think when you see a tweet come out?
So yeah, guys, I'm going to cut that video a little bit short. I mean, there's some more relevance to that, but I think we've gotten the gist of that. And welcome, Aaron. Appreciate you being on here, sir. Another one of my Truth Hour weekly faithfuls, and I do appreciate you guys. Y'all are the base, right? Trump's got a base. You're the Truth Hour base. You're always here. Appreciate you. We just need to build on the base, right? Need to build on the base. But I appreciate you guys. So, yeah, I mean, look at what Clinton was doing. The Democrats are the biggest hypocrites in history, if you think about it. Think about this. So they want to come out because President Trump used a phrase, supposedly, once again, let's insert that, supposedly said a phrase that was detrimental. I'm not condoning it. And if he did say it, it's not professional. It's not truly becoming of the President of the United States, but it's behind closed doors. It's a heated debate. Let them hash it out. And, you know, the Dems are just, here's what the Dems are. They're upset and they're pouty because the GOP and Trump have one-upped them. They've provided the biggest tax cut in history. There's countless people, you know, making bank on this stock market. Companies are coming out of the woodworks giving their employees really good bonuses. Just found out again, you know, so let's go down the list. I don't have an exact list, but I know Walmart was one of the first to come out. They gave like $1,000 bonuses to some of their main employees, the majority. And then you got Google. I found out yesterday or today that Google came out and gave, like, I think to a majority of their employees, $2,500 bonus. I'm speaking with my wife, Christy, this morning. We're over coffee. She gets an email from her company, Thermo Fisher. Guess what's in that email? Pretty simple. Because of President Trump's tax layout and his upcoming projections for the way that that's going to benefit the American economy, they've decided to give their employees $500 bonuses. I mean, the list will go on and on, guys. The Democrats are sore because they can't own any of this success. And it's simple. If you didn't vote for the tax reform, then you can't buy in to that success. And not a single Democrat bought in to putting more money back into your pocket. And that makes them sick. They know that they're on the wrong side of this. They know that eventually they are going to be on the wrong side of history. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So you have the hypocrisy of you got Trump just saying a couple of bad words, possibly, okay? But that's detrimental to a country. But the Clintons came through and ravaged and dismantled Haiti. The money, the millions and millions and millions of dollars that flooded into Haiti through special interest groups tied to the Clinton Foundation, through the State Department because they got privy to do so. And the Clintons came out on top and made bank on that. They made absolute bank on that. And then when they were done, basically squeezing every single penny, dime, nickel, dollar, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 out of Haiti, they left it and never looked back, and left the Haitian people living in living in filth. It is the biggest atrocity ever, and there's still people that cry out about that to this day and try to hold them accountable. And they've yet to ever be. But yet other companies and special interests came in and made bank. There was a guy that was brought in that was a big donor to the Clinton Foundation. Guess what? He got the cell phone contract to go in there and put cell phone towers and flood that market with all of that. Let me tell you something. The infrastructure of that country got decimated. I don't know what percentage of buildings standing got lowered to ground level during that earthquake and how many hundreds of thousands of people died because of the earthquake itself and the immediate aftermath of starvation and bad water and just bad living conditions. But look at what happened. I mean, look exactly what happened to these people. it's an absolute atrocity. And for them to sit there and play the race card with Trump is ridiculous. But yeah, I kind of lost my point there. But let me ask you something. So the country needs bare basic survival necessities: food, water, shelter, nutrition, proper filtered water, hygiene. They need things that are about their health and structure to rebuild. Housing, right? Where does I guess communication is big, but does that come down to the top? Is that in your mind the top 2 or 3? Well, funny how that was one of the first contracts negotiated, right? The Clinton Foundation, with the nodding and the permission from the State Department, stepped in there and just obliterated Haiti. And there's my wife, Christy. Oh my gosh, I don't know why she's saying this, but she's saying, give Berkey filter plug. Yeah, that's funny because we are big. We are big. Have y'all heard of Big Berkeys, right? Big Berkey filters. They're amazing water filtration systems. And oh yeah, okay, duh. I can connect the dots there because we're talking about purified water. So yeah, we use that every day. We don't drink tap water. So let me tell you just how important filtered, clean, healthy water is for your overall health and well-being. It's huge. Yeah, and like my wife just nicely reminded me, because I'm talking about clean water. Absolutely. So, those are the necessities that they needed, but that's not what happened. What happened was infrastructure was set aside and other special interests were brought in, and that's exactly what happened. They came out on top. We've got a few more videos here, but until we're able to pull those up, I'm going to go ahead and just keep talking about some other issues. So I just find it absolutely ridiculous that the left in this country has they have painted themselves into a proverbial corner or onto the world's smallest island, and they literally have nowhere to tiptoe anymore. They've exhausted all relevance. They've exhausted all reality and truth, because they don't use truth and reality. In fact, I take that back and change that. If they were to pivot to truth and facts, there's a plethora of truth and facts. But they live in the realm of falsity. They live in the realm of victimhood, and they live in the realm of, how can we make the most of a tragedy to gain votes, to gain voter base status, and to put money into our pockets and to embellish the establishment. That's what the left lives to do. If they actually chose to pivot for once in their life, if the DNC and the far left and the Democrats and the libs in this country would pivot once to truth and facts, it would be a breath of fresh air. But they'll never do that. They will never do that. Yeah, so another thing that was happening there is Department of Homeland Security, Kristen Nielsen was being interviewed. And, oh my gosh, I mean, she was just hammered. Just absolutely hammered. For a lot of the stuff she was in there to talk about immigration, and she was speaking facts and truth, and she was literally like every attempt after every attempt around every corner by the Democrats, senators, trying to be dismantled, and it was always a pivot back to what Trump said, supposedly, back to what Trump said, blank holes this, blank holes that, blank holes this. Well, Cory Booker's on there, senator, and he goes absolutely crazy in there. And I give Cory Booker the pacifier of the month award, I guess is what I'll call it. We've got a video. I got a video I'll be playing here in a minute, but he's basically goes into detail against Kristen Nielsen. She had been questioned for a good bit before Cory got to her, and she's whenever these dumb comments and questions would come up about, and they'd pivot back to what Trump supposedly said, she'd put them back on track and back on point, and And she kept, basically, guys, I'm not going to keep re-answering stuff I've already addressed to your other colleagues. We get to Cory Booker. Cory Booker's like, I ain't having none of that. He gets on there and he's like just screaming in rage that when Dick Durbin or one of the other Democrats had called him or phoned him and let him know apparently what was said and how things had happened during that meeting where this phrase was supposedly used, that he had tears of rage, and that how dare Kristen Nielsen dismiss the questions and comments and concerns from his colleagues, and that there was all this bitterness and hatred around the country, and that people were living in fear. I mean, it is comical just how bad things have gotten on the Democratic Party, that they will sell out to a point where everything is a victim. They're a victim. Everybody they have as a voter is a victim. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And we'll get to that video in a minute. And also we got I've got another video coming up about chain migration. Did a little bit of studying on that. And I've got there was a great Facebook illustration. It's like a 30-second illustration on chain migration. And I'll be honest with you guys, it's been an eye-opener to me. Chain migration, the lottery visa program, all of those things are so detrimental, and they're phrases, right? They're almost as household names as, I don't know, something you say every day. And what happens is because you've heard of it so many times and you think that you understand it, you become complacent. I became complacent. I had no idea what these terms meant that were backed up by the regulations and stuff that are being implemented on a yearly basis in this country. Guys, chain migration is incredibly detrimental. I mean, you think about the Visa lottery program, right? The way they've got this is, once again, you basically proverbially put your name in a hat and you're drawn. And let's just say, for layman's terms, Juan Valdez. Couldn't think of anybody else. That's who I came up with, so work with me. Juan Valdez, winner. You're the, next contestant on, you made it to the country without being vetted, kind of thing. So it doesn't end there. So that one person that, is part of that 50,000, I think it's like 50,000 immigrants a year are part of this Visa lottery program. I might be off on that, but I think it's 50,000. Add that up. Well, it's not just 50,000. For every one of those 50,000, for every one of those Visa lottery winners, they instantly then qualify for that chain migration quota. And guys, it can all but be virtually endless. And I've got an illustration for that as well coming up. You basically start out with the one immigrant that's being qualified to come through, and then his immediate family. All right? Starting with spouse, starting with children, starting with mothers and fathers. Right? Now think about that. So spouse of the person that qualified for the lottery to begin with, right? So you got that, spouse of that, and then the parents for the person that won the lottery, and then the parents for the person that came on the coattails of the spouse. So you got the gentleman's parents that won the lot. You got the guy that won the lottery's parents. You got the spouses of the gentleman that won the lottery's parents, and you got their immediate family, and you got the immediate family of the person that won, and their kids. Guys, it's dozens and dozens and dozens of individuals that qualify under the current system to come to this country, and a lot of those are bad individuals. It's been proven. Some of those can be bad individuals. Some of the actual lottery winners, in some instances, have been proven to have been detrimental to this country. I've got a theory. If you don't want to assimilate to this country's constitution, if you don't want to assimilate and learn English, if you don't want to assimilate and embrace Judeo-Christian values, I don't think you belong here. Now, we are a country of diversity. We're a country of diverse religious beliefs, but I'm going to tell you what. This country was founded on Judeo-Christian values. You can't dispute that. There is no, twisting that into anything else. And when we set aside that should be front and center. I mean, if we can't know without a doubt that the people that we're considering to come across our borders and to stay here as permanent residents, if we can't guarantee and vet and have certainty that they're going to embrace our Constitution, our laws, and our values, and our language, then why are they being considered to come here? I'm sorry. That's not harsh. That's not a racist statement. That is truth and fact. Look no further than Europe. Look no further than the atrocities that they're facing because of the greatest mass exodus in history since World War II, when the Assad regime started that civil war and butchered hundreds of thousands and millions fled. Well, they got over to Europe and places like Germany and everywhere else. They're just like, oh, yeah, no. Come on in. Come on in. Good morning, Lauren. Welcome, sir. Another one of my base faithfuls. Thank you, sir. So look at Angela Merkel and all of them. And now they're kicking their butts. Guys, their crime rates through the roof. You have a people that have came into their country that do not want to assimilate. They don't want to assimilate into that government's type standards and laws. They do not want to assimilate into that country. They are there out of necessity. They are there out of practicality. And they are there because the Obama administration failed to step up, failed to define the red line that they placed in the sand, and failed to defend the red line, and let the Assad regime kill tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of their own, while the Obama administration stuck their head in the very sand that they drew the red line. That's the facts, and that's the truth. And welcome to my daughter, Cheyenne. So now we have my daughter, Cheyenne, my son-in-law, Dakota, and I'll do a double shout-out to El Paso, Texas. So, I'm just sick of hearing it, guys. Sick of hearing it. The hypocrisy in this country from the left is sickening. Black unemployment at decades low, I think 17-year lows. Maybe it's less than that. I might be off on my stat there, guys. And I will say one thing, a disclaimer. Trust but verify. Got that from Reagan, guys. Reagan was always big on that. Trust but verify. I say that in, when dealing with our faith and the Word of God. You sit in church every Sunday and you listen to the Word of God being preached and you study your Bible, but you always need to study your Bible. You need to vet the things that are being told to you. Trust but verify. And I would actually go a step further and I would say trust very little. Trust is kind of a subjective word. Very little trust until you verify, right? Don't fully trust until it's been verified. Funny how the Dems don't understand that. Dems don't understand trust but verify. They want to verify and then trust. Kind of like, I believe it was Nancy Pelosi famously saying about the, Obamacare bill and all those things. Well, we got to pass it before we can see what's in it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Pelosi, because that's the way the Dems roll. That's how you pull things over people's eyes and how you slide things in underneath a desk and underneath reality and truth, and you basically get them done, like that. So, yeah. So a lot of hypocrisy going on, guys. Tucker Carlson's also got a good video on here that has to do with, if corporate America embraced the same immigration standards that the left has in this country, we would be in trouble. Okay? So the left in this country want to, Trump's basically, we only want to vet people and have people come here on merit base only, right? Merit base. What are you going to offer this country? Are you going to assimilate? Are you going to be an asset to this country? Or are you going to be detrimental, right? Well, Tucker's got a great video and a great point, and I'm just trying to summarize it before we watch it a little bit. What if, do you think Google would bring in a lot of people based on their same immigration standards, right? Just because, let's just bring them all in. Because they've got a bad area and they're a bad place. Would you think that Jeff Bezos with Amazon would bring on just anybody? He's touted in recent days of spending millions of dollars to help every DACA recipient go to college. Well, good for you. Okay, but if you really believe what you say, Jeff Bezos, why ain't you putting your money the real money where your mouth is? And why don't you give them high-paying jobs at Amazon? Well, hold on. Oh, no. We can't do that, Shane. This is Jeff Bezos probably talking hypothetically. We can't do that. We can't do that. Why? Well, because they don't qualify and they don't have the right standards for the jobs that I'd be offering them. Well, but I thought that so they, merit-based versus practicality, you can't wash those two. They don't square. So the left wants to basically say, we'll bring you, we want you to come here regardless of whatever beliefs you are, regardless of whatever state of mind you have, regardless of your belief system, regardless of what you think about this country. We just want to dissolve the standards down to anybody and everybody. If you got a pulse, you should have a right to walk across the border or be shipped over here. But when it comes to hiring for their multi-billion-dollar companies, why is their standards any different? Why are their standards so much different than their immigration policies? And because of that, it's hypocrisy. It's hypocrisy. So, I don't know how you square that or fix it, but that's what's happening. Give me 2 seconds here, guys. Hey, Dave. Giving a shout out there to Dave so I can switch a couple of videos here. But yeah, I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand what the left is doing. And so on and on and on it goes. And then we also have some information also, guys, on the ever ongoing saga, of the dossier. That stuff just never ends. We're getting information that's every bit as bad as it's been declared to be. I've never seen a news cycle on something last so long and still stay relevant, guys. I'll give you, for instance, the Vegas shooting, the massacre out there in Vegas. It's even having a hard time staying relevant, guys. A guy's supposedly gets up in his room there in Mandalay Bay and butchers that many people. And yet we still don't have a motive. I mean, there's things that are still being hidden there. There's supposed to be a protest. I kept up with Laura Loomer. She's a great reporter, a freelance reporter. There's stuff coming up on that. But like this stuff with the fake dossier and the Clinton email scandal tied all the way back to Uranium One and everything else. All of this stuff it's amazing. It's amazing. It's like, the more we find out, the more we find out. It's kind of like, the ice. The more it melts, right? The warmer it gets, the warmer it gets. The more relevance this becomes to the American people, and now people are starting to see exactly what they were dealing with prior to this election. So, some big stuff coming down the pipe there with a lot of this, guys. And then you have like Andrew McCabe. I believe he's actually stepping aside in a few weeks or months because they're all saying he's retiring. Well, how convenient that coincides with basically your head's fixing to be on a platter because the truth's out. But I don't think retirement's going to save him. You can't undo the atrocities that apparently he was front and center in being a part of. That big meeting, right? The meeting with Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, I believe is his name. And when they were in Andrew McCabe's office talking about what? Nothing other than an insurance policy. These things are not going away anytime soon until there's truth shown on it, guys. That's the way that's going to be. So, I don't know what else to say about that. Give me 2 seconds, guys. Hey, Dave! So anyways, yeah. So back to playing a few videos here, guys. We got front and center here, but supposedly, Trump's a racist. He's the biggest racist since I don't know who. Well, Alita King, Martin Luther King's niece, doesn't seem to think so. Let's listen to what she's got to say.
Well, I do
Or
not
is it?
believe
Or
President
is it?
John Trump is a racist. I mean, look at everything. The economy's up, jobs are up in the black community. There's great promise to get a lot of people who have been unfairly incarcerated out. So there's so many economic opportunities for babies in the womb. The president is working for America, period, as he's draining the swamp. And African Americans are benefiting. Our jobs are going up. Our unemployment is going down. Companies are saying they're going to raise their own minimum wage and do bonuses because of the tax cuts. So the president is helping the African American community, and I don't believe President Donald John Trump is a racist.
So there we have it. You know, but you know what's funny though? The left even disavows the genuine beliefs of Alita King, Martin Luther King's niece, on Fox News, right? You don't see her on any other networks. Well, they won't have her on there. Why? Because she's going to tell the truth. From a prominent black woman, Martin Luther King's niece, stating that Donald J. Trump, President Trump, is not a racist. That everything is going phenomenal in this country. That black unemployment is at decades low. I think it's 17-year lows. That, you know, the stock market at record highs every day. More people back to work. Huge tax reform. More money back in your pocket. Less going to the government. You know, my daughter states apparently he is a racist also because he wants to cut the members of refugees from 110,000 to 4,500. Yeah, that's a good point too, Cheyenne. And while we're on there, I'm going to pull up this Gitmo video. The hypocrisy of the left. You got people demonstrating all over the place about ridiculous stuff. Look at this in here. This apparently is a protest, a demonstration in front of the White House a few days or weeks back on the 16th anniversary of the opening of Guantanamo Bay, right? Gitmo, where we detain all of our terrorists that have been caught in, you know, the theater of war, of which, over the course of 8 years, Obama put on a drip line and flatlined it out to just a few dozen people were still there, I think, or less. He despised Gitmo, and he was a hypocrite. Obama thought that we should take, and Obama was big on this, if we ever caught anybody engaged in terrorist acts or in the field of war, that then all of a sudden they should be ran through the, you know, the wheels of justice, that they should be given, you know, attorneys. They should be read their Miranda rights. They should have due process. Are you kidding me? They're enemy combatants. They're killing us right and left. They're killing our boys. They're killing our girls over there. We're spreading, you know, we're spilling our blood and treasure on foreign soil to help liberate other countries and to prevent this. But no, we want to have all of this happen. So look at this ridiculousness real quick, just a few seconds. Yeah, I mean, look at this ridiculousness. Right? Look at this.
Hey guys, Kate Ingram with Circa. We're here at the Lafayette Square in Washington.
I mean, how ridiculous is that? I mean, where do you think? Where do you think? I mean, let's be practical. Seeing a lot of the left isn't practical. In fact, they don't have much brain capacity to begin with. But where, if Gitmo wasn't there, do you want to bring them on the mainland and house them in some? That's been brought up. You know, let's put them in, some high max prison somewhere, Colorado or whatever. No, Gitmo was built during the Bush administration for that fact. Right? These are enemy combatants, terrorists. They're there for a reason. Well, the people that want to basically protest against, war criminals, basically terrorists being at off the mainland base in Gitmo. But if you ask them, well, where would you put them? And here's a good one. You want to protest them being in a Gitmo? How about we put them in your backyard in a tent city? We take the dozens or hundreds that are currently there, the dozens or hundreds that will be there, and how about instead of going to Gitmo, we fly them direct, one-way ticket to your hometown. We get a Greyhound bus and we bus them to your front yard where you're going to have a tent city set up for them and a bed and breakfast. And these Gitmo detainees that have been accused of and caught in, butchering innocents, part of ISIS, out there to kill American troops right and left, and would rather have you dead than to look you in the eye, we're going to put them in your front yard. We're going to put them in a tent city in your front yard, and you can feed and bathe them, and you can give them food and drink, and you can take care of them. But see, no, they won't do that. We got idiots that'll march on the White House lawn in protest stating that they don't want that anymore. Gitmo is there for a reason. Gitmo is there for a reason. And President Bush saw that. Obama didn't see it. And now Trump is back to seeing it. And that thing, the numbers of that place is going to swell. Well, that's where they deserve to be anyways. Sorry. It's ridiculous. Let's do a comedy section here. We're going to jump into some comedy. Yeah, I'm sure y'all are aware if you keep up with things, but Trump had advertised a few weeks back, right? He's going to do the fake news awards of 2017, 2018. Well, they had a pretty big list, and I was going to include all of that, but it would have been too long. So, Nobel Prize winning gentleman by the last name of Krugman, he's a Nobel winning prize for economics and all this. Well, upon the eve of the election, I think he's quoted as saying that the stock market would never recuperate and would never come back, and that it was going to collapse because Trump was going to be the president. And anybody been watching the stock market lately? I don't think it's had a down day. From the day he went into office, I don't think it ever went below. Let's just say it as it is. Whatever the day market average was at the day he swore in, I honestly do not believe we've ever looked back at that yet. I don't even know what it was. I can't even remember. But we just went up 1,000 points in less than 7 or 10 days. We're over 26,000. It went over there day before yesterday. It went above 26. It closed below. We lost like 200 or 300. And then we were up over 300. We closed above 26,000 yesterday. I don't know where it's at today. But it's on... Guys, it's going to the moon. This guy couldn't have been wronger. I don't know if that's a word. More wrong. There we go. So Krugman wins the fake news award from Donald Trump. Let's take a look at this gut-filled video for just a few seconds.
In 2008, Paul Krugman won the Nobel Prize in economics. Isn't it time he gets another? Remember what he said way back on Election Day? Quote, "It really does now look like President Donald J. Trump, and markets are plunging. When might we expect them to recover?" A first-pass answer is never. That's pretty awesome for a garden gnome. But he's no garden gnome. He's a Nobel Prize-winning economist. A garden gnome could run circles around this bearded butthead. And every time he gets it wrong, he gets a raise. So he must be loaded now, as the stock market broke 23,000 and filings for unemployment benefits plunged to the lowest level since 1973. So will Paulie admit how wrong he was? I doubt it. Look at him. Put simply, so many would rather see the economy crash than admit Trump's made it great. Just like those who'd rather ignore the defeat of ISIS than admit Trump's direct approach worked, or that his straight talk on North Korea has finally gotten China to act. But the Krugmans of the world see Trump behind every rainy day. After all, just weeks ago...
So here we are, guys. Yeah. How'd you like to be that guy? This guy gets a Nobel Peace Prize, a Nobel Prize for economics, right? This guy's supposed to know his stuff. This guy eats, sleeps, drinks, and eats numbers, economics, spreadsheets, calculations, forecasts, futures markets. Economics. This guy wears, a suit that probably says economics on it. And this guy, this Nobel Prize winning guy, couldn't have been more wrong. I was projecting this way back, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but I think any common sense American, for the 8 years of the Obama administration, the American economy was eking along and surviving in spite of the Obama administration. And I always said, if we could get a president in there to pull the boot of regulation off the throat of the capitalist system and the free markets, that the stock market would just go crazy. I was saying that. It was common sense. Open up energy independence. We're going to be an Anwar. Leftists hate that. It's ridiculous. We got more natural gas and oil under our own feet. It'd be the equivalent, guys, of owning a bread store and refusing to produce or buy your own bread and walking across the street and buying it from another bread store and paying them millions and billions of dollars. Oh, but by the way, that bread store is not a friendly bread store. They are of terrorist-type nations that would probably otherwise, instead of, if it wasn't for the money, would just rather see you dead. And what am I saying there? We still, to this day, unfortunately, we still purchase a lot of overseas oil. It's less and less because of the fact that we produce our own. I'm in the oil and gas industry, and I would know this. The fact is, we used to spend, you go back 6 or 8 years, 10, before the fracking had came out and has become its own, and basically we're at a glut in oil and gas, but we're starting to stabilize and go back up because there's huge demand because of the markets, right, and the stabilization of the economy. But guys, we were sending billions of dollars overseas to countries that would rather have us dead. It makes no sense at all. It's ridiculous. Yeah, and Lauren comes in there, the comment on the leftist brain was not right. Just saying. Okay. Yeah, and so, I mean, it's just ridiculous. So anyways, we're going to move on here. We got some more comedy stuff. This one's funny. This is a parody of the other day. So real quick, a quick lead in. So Trump had his physical done, right? That's what it basically come out to, his physical assessment. You get in this press briefing. They put the doctor up there that actually did the tests, multiple tests. Trump does this cognitive test, I think is the name of it. He volunteered for this cognitive test. He got a 30 out of a 30 on it. Very few people. It's not mandatory during this procedure. He elected to do it, and he did it because he wanted to basically go above and beyond to prove to all the idiots out there that he's fine. You know, they've been saying that he's not all up there upstairs, and he doesn't. You know, he's not rational. That he slurs his words, and he's on the verge of dementia. You know, and so on and so forth. And instead of going to a press briefing with all the success, look at what the left media in this country spent over an hour asking this doctor. Here we go.
Can you assess the president's mental fitness for office?
The president appeared to slur his words while giving an address. Did you look into what the cause of that might have been at all?
Are you ruling out things like early onset Alzheimer's? Are you looking at dementia-like symptoms?
On what basis would you, and this is just a philosophical question, advise the cabinet that the president is unable to discharge his duties? How does that bar get met?
When you analyze his cognitive ability or his neurological functions, that is not the same thing as a psychiatric exam or a psychological exam.
It is not. You mentioned that you gave the president a cognitive test. Was that the mini mental state examination or the Boltzmann test? Or if not, can you tell us what specific cognitive test you gave?
Given that there's scrutiny of what was overlooked at the time with President Reagan in terms of Alzheimer's and things he was then known to suffer from at a later date. Can you say that whether the test that you ran would exclude any of those things?
The president's age in continuing his physicals in the future, will you also continue the cognitive testing?
You say that the president was the one who requested the cognitive test, that it wasn't necessarily needed for someone of his age. Did he tell you why he wanted it done?
What is your take of all the doctors and clinicians all across the country who have said that in this president they see symptoms of this, that, and the other?
Symptoms in what way?
Well, symptoms of dementia.
Do you keep a tally of how much golf the U.S. president plays?
Some of the president's friends have told reporters in the past that they think he's a germaphobe, that he washes his hands obsessively and is concerned about that. Have you seen any indication of that type of behavior?
Does he watch too much TV?
I don't.
From sedentary lifestyle sort of perspective, should he cut back on that?
Did you see any evidence of bone spurs, which the president said that he suffered from? Is he limited to one scoop of ice cream now?
Do you have any concerns about the president's Twitter?
No, I don't. Yeah, Twitter doesn't involve me as a doctor. I don't have any concern on that.
Does the president wear dentures? You mentioned the dental exam.
The president has no partial or indentures of any kind.
You said he doesn't drink and he doesn't smoke, and other than the diet issue, did you address drug addiction?
Drug addiction?
I mean, any other drugs?
Yeah, no, he has no drug addiction.
Wow. Yeah, I had to put that one on, guys. And apologies for, I try to keep this show clean. Apparently there was an inscription across there, WTF. I didn't properly vet that video. Talking about vetting, I didn't vet that video thoroughly. I went all the way up close to there and didn't see that, or I probably would have cut that or tried to edit that or stop short. So apologies to my audience. Oh my gosh, Alzheimer's. Does he wear dentures? There was one guy that I don't think was even stated on there. You know, a guy that eats McDonald's and cheeseburgers and drinks Diet Cokes all day, and he's the bill of health. And the doctor's, and it's just spot on, best timing ever. He goes, "Can you?" And the guy goes, "Can you explain that?" He goes, "Yeah, genetics." So you know, here they are again. Just the left is ridiculous. Nobody in there asked anything about the stock market setting another record. Right, unemployment in certain sectors of the economy and certain geographical groups, you know, at all-time lows, or excuse me, at multi-year lows. All these bonuses and all this other stuff. I mean, nobody talked about that, so it's ridiculous. Here is Cory Booker real quick. We referenced this earlier when I was talking. This is Senator Cory Booker going absolutely crazy on Kristen Nielsen, Department of Homeland Security. Because she basically played off these stupid so-called comments that Trump said. Let's listen.
I hurt. When Dick Durbin called me, I had tears of rage when I heard about his experience in that meeting. And for you not to feel that hurt and that pain and to dismiss some of the questions of my colleagues, saying I've already answered that line of questions when tens of millions of Americans are hurting right now because of what they're worried about what happened in the White House. That's unacceptable to me. There are threats in this country. People plotting. I receive enough death threats to know the reality. Kamala receives enough death threats to know the reality. Maisie receives enough death threats to know the reality. And I've got a president of the United States whose office I respect, who talks about the countries of origins of my fellow citizens in the most despicable of manner. You don't remember. You can't remember the words of your commander-in-chief. I find that unacceptable. Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I'm grateful to be on this committee.
I think Cory Booker, I think he's kin to these people.
Deep in the woods of North Carolina, an extremist eco group called Earth First bewails the violation of American nature.
I want to mourn the loss of all the old growth trees I've seen, and tell them that we love them and that we don't want them to die, that there are some people here who do care. So I want you to know that, trees, that we care.
I think we are deeply hurting in America.
I think Cory Booker's runs with that crowd. That's part of my comedy segment, guys. I found that too. Just some extreme environmentalists down in South Carolina. There was some trees cut down, and they took it pretty hard. They took it about as hard as Cory Booker. You know, apparently, if somebody refers to a country as a blank hole, I mean, he has tears of rage. And for Kristen Nielsen to basically act like that that pain wasn't deserved and she didn't acknowledge it, well, you know, I give, like I said, I give Cory Booker the Pacifier of the Month award, and I do extend to him a tissue at this time. Yeah, unbelievable, you know. My daughter Cheyenne says, "Oh my gosh, I'm rolling." Yeah, I was rolling when I was putting the segment together. Actually, I'm still rolling inside. I'm trying to keep my composure. Yeah, and then. We'll do one more little comedy thing here. A picture I found on the internet from a good friend. This is the sentiment of the left, guys. Do you see this picture? Fill in the blank with whatever news broadcaster you'd like to put in there. I could think of a few. But everybody on CNN, CNBC, yeah. Some of the most extreme Morning Joe, them guys. Tonight we skip the tremendous growing economy and go straight to a bad word that Trump said. And you could change the top too. Tonight we, you know, we skip the amazing tax reform and the ramifications of that and go straight to a bad word that Trump said. Tonight we skip the fact that unemployment is at record lows or really, really good lows, and we go straight to a word that Trump said. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I find that hilarious. I found that on Facebook. So, oh, funny stuff. Yeah, so we got through that. We got a few more minutes. I'm just going to make sure I've gone through everything. Immigration. Yeah, let's listen to Tucker here real fast, guys. This is great. Tucker lined out, I said this a while ago, if corporate America used the same standards for their hiring process and their basically their growth projections for their companies as they do for the standards they hold for immigration, there would be no stock market records. We'd be a third world country because it is about merit. And it is about practicality, and it is about how you can contribute. So if those things are relevant with company and with growth, then why aren't they the same with the overall wellness of this country? They, in fact, are. Let's listen to this.
Thanks wholly to President Trump's now famous comments suggesting that some countries are not as appealing as other countries and may, in fact, not produce equally desirable immigrants. Well, America's elites have recoiled in shock and horror and rage. How dare he say something like that? And so from Hollywood to Silicon Valley to MSNBC, a new consensus has formed, which, of course, the rest of us are now required to believe. So get a pen. It's this. Every other country is great, especially the poor and disorganized ones, and the immigrants those countries send here are uniformly more impressive than you are, every single one of them. They fight more wars, they pay more taxes, they start more companies than your kids ever will. So shut up with your doubts or inconvenient questions, otherwise we will fire you. So that's what our moral betters on cable news are telling us vehemently. The question is, do they really believe that? Do they really think that all standards are arbitrary and racist and that everyone from everywhere is exactly the same level of awesome? Well, for an answer, ignore what they say. Take instead a close look at how they live. Do our elites send their own children to colleges with universal admittance policies where everybody gets in? Of course they don't. Their kids go to Harvard and Stanford and Yale. Those are the most respected universities in the world precisely because they're the most selective ones. Harvard's acceptance rate is just a hair above 5%. They brag about how many high school valedictorians they reject. Now, Harvard has countless professors who support open borders and fret about white privilege. Yet how many admissions officers do they have who will admit poorly educated Haitians who can't speak English? Let's see. None. Not a single one. Harvard is famous and admired because it's selective. In other words, because it discriminates on the basis of achievement and ability. If Harvard chose its students the way America chooses its immigrants, our elites wouldn't send their kids there. The cachet would be gone, along with the quality. The same, of course, goes for corporate America. Does Facebook hire by a diversity lottery? Come on. Would Google apply temporary protected status to its own workforce, hiring and keeping thousands of people with no relevant skills simply because they're from impoverished backgrounds? Another dumb question. The people who run Google and Facebook care about their companies in the same way the people who run Harvard care about their school. The one thing none of them care about is America, which is why they're demanding standards for our country they would never apply to themselves. It is sickening and hypocritical, and we've had enough of it. Going forward, we're going to push this country's elites to live by the standards they espouse. If America must give citizenship to 11 million undocumented immigrants, Harvard ought to give free tuition to 1,100 undocumented students. If it's okay to sneak into your city illegally and use the public services, why is it wrong to live in a dorm at Princeton without being enrolled? Jeff Bezos thinks it's immoral to send dreamers back to their own countries. Okay, why shouldn't Bezos give a few thousand of them high-paying corporate jobs at Amazon? Well, of course he should, immediately. The truth is, our ruling class supports our current immigration policy because for them, it's all upside. They're not standing in line in crowded emergency rooms or sending their kids to chaotic public schools or competing for jobs with people who will work for less than they will. For them, open borders mean cheaper labor and bountiful household help. and above all, the sense that unlike you, they're good people. They care. They're not bigots like those voters in Kentucky and Ohio. What our rulers need is a strong dose of reality, a sense of what their policies mean for everybody else. So let's give them that. You can send your ideas to us on Twitter. You can do that by sending your tweet to @Tucker.
I wanted to polish off this segment with Tucker's great video there. He nailed it. I was trying to kind of put those words together a few minutes ago. The hypocrisy of not only just the left, right, but some of these leftist universities, Harvard, right, they are extremely selective, so much so that they define that word, right, selectivity, and they discriminate based on merit. You're based on basically a works, how well you can fit in and contribute to their overall graduation numbers and their quotas is what it is. And like Tucker said, would you ever see them accepting, tens of thousands or hundreds of Haitian immigrants into their school just because they felt the need to basically fill that demand and to look good? No, it's all about merit. It's all about qualifying. But for some reason, you pivot to what's best for the economy and for the American people. Somehow those rules and those standards seem to just basically dissolve. It's ridiculous. And then he equivalates great there at the end to Facebook and Google. Facebook and Google you don't think they'd go out and hire, tens of thousands of people just based on, practicality or impracticality just because to be diverse? No, it's merit. Jeff Bezos, I referred to that earlier. He's wanting to. He said he would put aside $30 million or something. That's chump change to a multi-billionaire. $30 million to put all the DACA recipients, if they end up becoming amnesty-free or some form of amnesty, through college. Okay, that's great. But you won't see. But you see leftists. They'll throw money at a situation as long as it doesn't stick to them. They don't want the problem to get any closer to them. Bezos will throw money out, but the problem stays away from him. Why won't he bring the problem in and encompass it and deal with it and embrace it? Because he doesn't want to have anything to do with it, and that's not really what he truly believes. If he really truly believed in what he's saying he believes, he would hire these people, put them on a payroll, give them thousands of dollars a year in salaries that they don't deserve just because it's a diverse plan. But that's not the way that corporate America runs their companies. They run it based on merit. You got to qualify for what you get. So I'm sick of the left telling everybody that President Trump's immigration proposals are wrong. They just need to wise up and get off their butts and figure out that this is what everybody else is doing. It's the best thing for companies and corporations, then it's the best thing for this country. So I've ran out of time. I've went over 3 minutes, guys. Appreciate you very much. Another great day. Looks like we've had a pretty good audience. I do appreciate you. And apologize for the hiccup there in the middle. We got that all cleared up. And thanks, Lauren. Thanks, Aaron. My daughter, Cheyenne. My son-in-law, Dakota. My wife, Christy. And I don't know who else might be on, but if you are there, please feel free to give me a shout-out. And, guys, once again, if you don't mind, share my link. I've Facebooked this out as well. Share my link on your page. If you could, drop a comment on what you thought about today's show. Hey, I'll take the good and the bad. Please, you can chat me a question or anything. You can also email me with any concerns or questions or topic suggestions, and I'll try to incorporate those. That's truthhour@gmail.com, truthhour@gmail.com. And once again, we're here every Thursday morning, 11 a.m. Pittsburgh time. We are going to be going through a little bit of a thaw out, going to warm up a little bit. I hope it's good where you and yours are at. Stay warm, stay healthy, stay in the Word of God. We didn't have a chance to get a faith segment in today on this show. I will find some more segments to fit into that. I try to have a good slice of faith in with my political views as well. So I hope you forgive me for that. So we will see you guys next week. Once again, we appreciate you attending, and you are the reason I'm here. God bless. We'll see you then.
Something